All right, family, friends, EXPs. I just want to first thank you guys for taking the time to join me for this very insightful, this thought provoking discussion that we're going to have live tonight. As always, I love to do these discussions because it gives us firsthand perspective into what individuals such as Terrio, such as my mom, two former police officers, think about what's going on right now. As we all know, innocent Black lives are being lost at the hands of police officers. And I am tired of reading stories about it. It's been going on for years now, and the country as a whole is fed up. So, we are going to talk solutions tonight. We are going to talk about things that we can do, and officers, we're going to get insight and feedback from them because it's important that we learn that there are good cops out there. Not every cop is bad. And I want to encourage you guys during this conversation to put all your thoughts in the comments. If you have any questions for Terrio or Kim, please list them in the comments so we can get to them. But we are going to be transparent. They're going to be transparent. They're going to share their stories, and they're going to talk about what it means to be a police officer in today's society. I have questions that I have written that they have not read. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it with this discussion. And again, guys, just be honest and transparent, but we are also going to keep it professional, and we are not going to be doing any hating here. Okay. This is a positive forum and an opportunity for us to voice our concerns and our opinions in a respectful way. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to start with ladies first. Kim, my mother, she was a police officer in Miami, city of Miami, for over 25 years. And she has a great deal of knowledge and perspective, and so does Terrio. He was a police officer here with Atlanta Police Department. So, Kim, I'm going to ask you, what made you take the oath and become a police officer? Because at the time, I think you said you were in the academy when you found out you were pregnant with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So before that, what made you decide to go ahead and jump into law enforcement?
Because I thought that I could change things. That was my main. I literally walked in there wanting to make a difference with the way things were going in the world. And I'm not going to say it quickly turned south because I want to always feel like I made a difference in somebody's life. Because me and my friend, we was talking about this yesterday. But what happened to me during the interim was when I started arresting people for things and taking them to jail. My perspective about police work didn't change because it was always to protect and serve. But it became a little disheartening when I would walk you through and check you in. And when I'm walking out the door, the person who I just arrested is asking me for a ride to take them back where I picked them up. So then I start asking myself, what kind of difference am I making? Okay, so.
All right. Terrio, what made you take the oath and become an officer with the city of Atlanta?
Well, essentially, I'm from the city of Atlanta, and just wanted to always see the community that I grew up in to do better. So,
and what community was that?
Community was a city of Atlanta Zone 1 area. So, some of you guys know that Bankhead right now, HE Homes and all of that in that area. Also, part of Zone 1 is the AUC Center too as well. So, that's all Zone 1 of Atlanta, and that was reason for to protect the kids. So I saw that if the influence on the kids at an early age, it would change their mindset of about police officer. So I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it in the city that I was born in, and also in the area in the zone that I was partially raised into. So that's why I wanted to do this for the kids, to protect the kids and to show the kids that, hey, there's nothing wrong with being a police officer. Another influence also was the red. At one point, the Atlanta Police Department had a unit called the Red Dogs. So I saw them in action at a young age, being over at my sister's house one time, and so that was another influence too as well. But it's majority is for the kids, and just showing them they can be an officer and not be looked at as someone who's hating or bringing negativity towards the community. Is you can also work as an officer and bring a positive influence for the community.
All right, so Kim, walk me through being a female police officer in Miami and your training. How was that basic training?
Well, to actually become a candidate of the police department, once you take a civil service exam and you pass that, and they start doing a background check on you, your background could take anywhere from 6 to 7 months. And that's going to consist of everything from your credit, what you have done, to knocking on doors and asking your neighbors about you as a person. Once you get through with that and you are accepted in the police academy, then you have to go through what they call a physical agility test, where you got to run a mile in so many minutes. You got to pick a person up, drag them, carry them. You have to jump over a 6-foot wall. It's a lot that you have to prepare for to even pass. Once you get through the background, now you got to pass a physical agility test. Then once you pass all of that and you are accepted inside the police academy, I don't know about T, but training for us was 5.5 months. Okay, and in training, you're gonna get law, you're gonna get first responder, you're gonna get defensive tactics, you're gonna have to learn how to do traffic stops. Everything that you're taught from an instructor, which is going to be actual police officers that come in and teach us, along with professors. Then you have to put all that role playing and through actually scenarios which you are judged on and you are graded on. And you have to at least make a 75 or above on every test. You're not allowed to flunk the test, but once, and if you flunk the test, you're still going to only get a 75 once you come back and retake it, or else you're gone. Okay. So that was pretty much it. And you also go through what they call a psychological exam, which we can see people, that doesn't mean nothing, because people still slip through. They still hire the wrong people.
We're going to get to that in a minute. Yeah. With everything that's happened with police brutality and officers abusing the badge. T, go ahead and just talk a little bit before we get to that about your experience with training. Did you guys go through, someone mentioned in one of the comments I read that police need to be trained on trauma, generational trauma, de-escalation, inclusivity, meaning LGBT, learning how to love all races and not discriminate, sensitive training, and how to put biases aside, and PTSD, so they're not responding to trauma. Did any one of you go through that in the academy?
Yeah, for Atlanta Police Department, they did. They had extensive training on how to interact on different type of levels of, far as different races, person sex, gender preference, and all of that. So they do extensive training. They also do training on how to handle those things in the real life scenarios. So we had a lot of training in that. So that's why hats off to the Atlanta Police Department, because they do extensive training. Yes, they had to go through some turmoil to get to that point. For as previously the police department did go through a big lawsuit where they went into a all gay nightclub, and where they went in there and they started slandering. They had a warrant, but they was in there slandering the people, calling them gays, all that. So they went to that part of that lawsuit, and they saw that the training must be extensive and more, I guess, open into understanding different cultures, lifestyles, and sexuality. So we had that training, and the training was good because you learn so much on the culture of different people. So that's a good thing. I appreciate the APD Academy with that they do. They do a lot of training, and it's a lot of scenarios towards that, and the mistakes they've made in the past to correct for you for you to become a better and a more fluent officer out there in the streets.
Kim, did you guys go through that as well?
We had sensitivity training, and I think T can attest to this. Once you come out the academy, our training never stops. We are constantly being recertified every year through scenarios, through our first responder, through firearms. We have to be recertified in all those areas every year. That's part of our certification. So like T say, yes, we had diversity training. As a matter of fact, we was taught based on Martin Luther King, the way that's how we kind of, our training was built around what Martin Luther King did. So yeah, you get a lot of training because it's mandatory. Now, whether people,
and that's my next question. If you have training and systems in place, why do we continue to see the attacks against Black lives, men being killed, women, innocent men and women being killed at the hands of officers who are reckless, who are racist, who discriminate, and who continuously get a pass and use the badge as a scapegoat? Why do we continue to see this happen? And y'all be honest. This is an honest talk. You can, no holds barred. You be honest, because we've had conversations outside of this right here. So be honest and transparent.
Well, for me, I'm going to say this. You can't change what's in a person's heart. You can give them all the training you want to. But you can't change what's in a person's heart, because what did I say? It's mandatory to keep your job. You got to do it. But once you walk out that classroom and you've done what's required of you from your police department, that doesn't necessarily saying that means anything to that person that's sitting along the side of you in that vehicle. And you know what? What are you going to do? They're not going to walk away and say, you know what? I ain't learning this mess, because at the end of the day, they got bills to pay. They got families to feed.
So are you saying that once you come out of training, you have to ride with somebody?
Well, in Miami, I don't know about T, we had to ride salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper meaning?
A black and a white officer in the car.
Okay.
And I got a story about that, but we'll get to that later.
And why do you think they did that? To prevent the discrimination and the racism?
It was just something that was required to ride salt and pepper. I don't know today why it was, but it didn't work for me.
Okay. And we're going to get to why.
It didn't work for me.
Why do you think that these reoccurring issues continue to occur in society?
Well, I would say the training too, that some of the departments that we're speaking about, they probably didn't have the type of training or go deep into their training. So you can have that training, all the training in the world, but it goes to an individual heart and eyesight. And when I mean eyesight, do they have hatred in their heart, and do they have hatred in their eyes? So hatred in the eyes and hatred in the heart, as a police officer, you can disguise that while you're going through training. But once you hit the streets, it's shown. It's shown through your actions, your language, how you engage with other races. So that further displays the race in your heart and the racism that's in your eyes too as well. So that's something, again, you can go through all the training you want, but like I say, if it's in your heart and if it's in your eyes, it's going to always be displayed. So that's one thing. As far as the police departments, there are signs that are going to be shown too as well, if that person have hate in their heart and hate in their eyes. And those have come from different type of write-ups that citizens may go out and make. Excuse me, I'm trying to say, I forgot the terminology I want to use for it. But any type of citizens that have a run in them, they have a complaint. So anytime the officer receive a complaint and you see that it continues to be an African American, male or female, but just say an African American, a white officer, continue having run-ins with African American, and they continue to get complaints about their language, how they physically handle them too as well. So if you continue to see those complaints, something should raise questions. Now it's up to the department to go ahead and bring that officer in. You can retrain them, or you can get rid of them.
Because
and they're going to cause you a lawsuit,
yep.
And they're going to cause chaos in between. It can cause chaos within the department, within your zone, or where you're working at, because other officers may not agree with that, how the officer is handling others on the street. Because guess what? Everyone wears that badge.
That's right.
And you have to respect that badge, because I'm not the only one wearing it. So it's up to that department to train them. If they are having complaints about that, train them or get rid of them, fire them. It's no other way to handle it. It's train them right. If they're going through those things, get them counseling, because some of them probably need counseling. They probably need more in-depth training to understand the culture of different people. And if they cannot pass the training, then it's best to get rid of them.
And one thing I do want to note too is that, of course, we are talking about racism from the extent of white police officers killing innocent Black men and women. But I do also want to point out that racism can occur Black on Black, with Black officers being discriminatory and racist against Black officers, and Hispanics against Hispanics, and vice versa. So it goes both ways. So let's talk about corruption and racism and discrimination with regards to officers. And both of you told me a story that you both experienced as police officers with officers within the department. Kim, do you want to talk about, you said you wanted to give a story about salt and pepper and what happened?
Well, I had the privilege, I considered a privilege, actually working in the neighborhood that I grew up in, which was Liberty City. And every officer I had was, it was salt and pepper. But I would find myself arguing with my partner about the things he was doing that displeased me.
What was he doing?
I always wanted to just hang in the Black community and arrest Black people. Until one day I was like, hold up. White people don't do nothing wrong? Yeah, but Kim, I said, you know why we don't know? Because we are not hanging out over there. If we go over there, we can make some arrests over there too. So what about that? So,
and what was he? Was white?
He was Hispanic. Okay. And it was Dan, and he was a rookie. They hard-headed. You can't tell them nothing. You're a veteran officer. You can't tell rookies nothing because they want to save the freaking world and they don't know nothing. Okay? So, and I kept telling him, I said, you know what? You better chill out and you better slow down. You're going to have some problems. Boom. Right before the end of my career, he got caught up in throwdowns.
What's throwdown?
Throwdowns is when you shoot somebody and y'all take and plant a gun and say the person had a gun. And he spent about 4 to 5 years sitting at home, relieved of duty. And when he came back, he didn't do nothing but with freaking computers. He never hit the streets again.
So should his crime have been more severe for what he did? His punishment, I'm sorry.
I don't know how, I don't know what part he took. He was there. He was with the jump outs, which was the task force unit.
Like the Red Dogs.
Yes. Okay. So what ended up happening with me, it was from one partner to another. Because as you talk about Black on Black police officers, that's not right. Before I get to how I got to riding by myself, I had an officer that was in the car with me, a Black officer.
Male.
He was short, man. He had the Napoleon syndrome. So I was always in fights because he run up in people's face and say, you think because I'm short I can't beat your butt. So here we go. We duking it out with people on the street. Always. I I called in sick one day because my middle daughter was sick. Next thing I know, my sergeant calling me at home. You heard, I don't want to call his name. You heard about what happened to so and so. I said, what are you talking about? Lo and behold, they thinking I'm calling in sick because I'm part of what he's doing. Come to find out, I'm sitting next to my partner that I've been partnering with for like 18 months. He trafficking cocaine. Which he literally could have got me killed and I didn't know nothing about it. And then make matters worse, he tried to cut a deal with internal affairs and told them I knew. But see, there was questions before he got ended up trafficking, selling, and he was using his service revolver with Hialeah Police Department. And thank God for some people that knew me. They pulled me to the side and said, I ain't watching you. I said, they could watch me all they want to. Because I ain't dirty. So what he had told them that I knew. But see, I should have. But you think your partner, man, we was like Starsky and Hutch. You wouldn't think your partner doing nothing like that. But he had been asking me questions. Because he would get off of work and he would go sit in the park and play checkers with the dopers, with the dope boys. Which was wrong. You can't crap and eat in the same place. But he was asking me questions like, oh, if a citizen walked up to you and told you that a cop is dirty, what would you do? I said, I'm gonna tell him to go to internal affairs. So I guess by his questions, he see that I wasn't gonna be in, I wasn't gonna be down. Yeah. So can you imagine how I felt knowing that I ride Liberty City? Me and this guy was always running the dopers down, taking their whole stash. I mean, I'm talking about big drugs. To go back to work the next day and I'm being harassed by everybody in my zone that I worked because I knew all the citizens. They knew me. How can you be sitting in the car and you ain't know your partner dirty? So that was like a slap in the face to me. So we're not going to say that it's all black and white because it ain't all black and white. And so I'm going to go back to riding salt and pepper. Like I said, I got so sick of arguing with my partners about giving elderly people that's just driving to church $80 tickets. And I'm like, hey, don't do that. That's all we know is to go to church on Sunday. Kim, you flipping the law book. It says anybody can get a ticket, but use your discretion. So one day I marched in my precinct, which was the north end. And I told myself, I want to be a one-man unit. I'm not riding with nobody else. You sure you want to do that? Absolutely. I can handle mine. And that's how I end up being a one-person unit opposed to riding with somebody else.
All right, y'all. I hope y'all taking this all in. T?
For me, with the city of Atlanta, you ride solo. You ride solo anyway. So
out of training,
out of training, you go on foot. It's called foot beat. Basically, you're a walking officer. So it was myself and Whitefield. He was a white officer out of Detroit. He was on a wrestling team, kind of built, and he can hold his down. And that's what I love about him. Also, while we were on, what's great about the foot beat and having someone else of a different race, you kind of get to educate. I was able to educate him on the culture of the streets of Atlanta, also dealing with African-American men and everything. Mm-hmm. And what I loved about Officer Whitefield, he was cool. We just had a good camaraderie. They used to call us, it's funny because we went out as Salt and Pepper, and they used to call us on the streets. They used to call us, oh, here comes Salt and Pepper. That's what all the little locals, little local dope boys on the streets used to call us Salt and Pepper. But what was great that he would listen to, I was kind of give him insight on how African Americans look towards white officers and how they react to them. So I always just taught him, just make sure that when you engage with an African American male, do not come off aggressive to them, because they expect you coming at them anyway, that you are looking to arrest him the first hand
because he's white.
because he's a white officer. They think that some majority of African American men feel in their mind when they see a white officer, oh, it's about I'm about to get arrested. So I always told him just make sure that when you're engaged with African American, the first thing, don't come aggressive, because if you come aggressive, they go get aggressive back with you. Yeah. They're just like if you Whitefield, he had a dog, and I said just imagine you had your dog, and you get aggressive with your dog usually will get aggressive back with you. You see what I mean? Or if I get aggressive with I said don't even put a race in there. Don't put no color in there. Just say me and you right here. I always explain too. Also, when he used to wrestle, he was an all-pro wrestler. I said when you used to get in the ring and you saw that when you were wrestling, they get you a certain move, and they get real aggressive with you. You have to kind of defend, get more aggressive back. So he understood that. So that was great for us being on Footbeat together. That he was a white officer in an all-black neighborhood, and I'm an African American officer in the neighborhood that I grew up in. So I was able to kind of educate him for him to understand the culture. And
I'm sorry, was he intimidated by Black people?
No, he wasn't. The reason why he wasn't intimidated by Black people because he grew up around that too as well. He grew up around African American people. Sometimes the instance that you see right now on television with these officers, they haven't had interaction with African Americans their entire life. And it's a sad thing to say, but it's true. But what was great about Whitefield, that he did have grew up around African American, but to understand the culture deeply, to walk those streets every day, to see things that you never seen before. And I had to explain that to him, even though he had that, it kind of it educated him even more. So he had more street sense about the African American culture, and he knew how to handle himself if I wasn't around. Mm-hmm. So that's good. So I said the reason I'm explaining this to you because when we branch out and we go solo, you understand how to handle it, and you won't be getting into physical altercations or disagreement right on scene when you come on scene. Right as soon as you get on scene, you have a disagreement because the first thing they think you're about to arrest them. So just knowing how to communicate in a non-aggressive manner.
Mm-hmm. And we've been talking about everything that's been transpiring and seeing the fact that George Floyd was pleading and saying, I can't breathe. And you have 3 other officers standing there watching this take place. And this man literally has his knee on his neck and constricted his breathing. And autopsy came out today and found the cause of death was because literally he could not breathe. Give me your thoughts, guys, on this. And how, would you have handled this if you were an officer on the scene watching this occur?
Well, it wouldn't happen with me. First of all, I want to let everybody know I have not watched the film. I have no intentions of watching it. The little bit I glance and I'm walking by TV, it's enough for me. I can't do it. Because you know what? It didn't take that. I can't. It wouldn't. I know for a fact it wouldn't happen with me because I've always been stand up. I'm stand up just being regular without a uniform. I've had to intervene on calls and stop people and let them know. When I go to IA,
what's IA?
IA is internal affairs. I'm telling them what's up. Don't do nothing around Kim. You can call me snitch. I ain't with blue flu. I ain't with blue nothing. I'm about what's right. It wouldn't have happened on my dime. It wouldn't have happened on none of my partners' dimes. Period. Because we were so no nonsense. And let me tell you something. And me and Jay, we had this conversation. Me, Jay, and T was talking about this last night. When you come out the academy and you're a rookie, and you see things that are happening around you that you don't understand, and you might say, is this what police work is all about? That rookie might be reluctant to say anything because guess what? He just went through 5.5 months of the academy. Then you're going to be on probation for 18 months before you become permanent, which means in them 18 months, any other thing you do, you can lose your job. Do you think that person is going to go tell?
But does that make it right?
It doesn't make it right. But because they so new and they don't understand. But if you're not born with a stand-up mentality about what's right, and maybe I'm gonna be honest with you. Me and Sandra had this conversation yesterday. We talked about this for hours yesterday. I was born to be a cop. That was my calling because I was damn good at it. That was my calling. And when I look back, I was so no nonsense with the people on the street and with the people in the department. I didn't let you say what you want to say to me because I'm gonna check you real quick. And I think that makes a difference whether a person feel like, I don't care what you do to me, it's not right, I'm going to speak on it. But everybody is not like me or maybe not like T.
And T, yeah. Speak to that because we talked the other day and you were saying how you had you were riding with a partner and they were doing some things that weren't ethical and you had to check him and you went to your lieutenants and your sergeants and let them know about it as well.
Yes, but back to what occurred, what just occurred with the knee killing Mr. Floyd. If you at first I didn't want to watch the video because I knew it was something too extreme. But just as if you continue, I don't watch TV a lot, but just as you look on social media, you look on everything, it's going to appear and you're going to have to see it. So when I saw it, it was real disturbing and heartening because if you look into the eyes of the officer when he has his knee on his neck, it's as you can see hate in his eyes. You can feel the hate. You can see the hate in his movement. That when that man said that he couldn't breathe, if you watch his knee, he applied more pressure, and that let me know that deep down inside, this man had hate. It wasn't about that's a human being right there. It became that he just had hate in his heart, in his eyes. And if you also look at the last tidbits of the video, he looks up at the camera with the guy telling, "Hey man, the man can't breathe, you killing him." If you look at his eyes, it was hate in his eyes. And you can see that. And he didn't give up. He kept with the knee on there. Now, as an officer on that scene, and I would have saw that knee on here, I would have gave that officer the goddamn business. Excuse my language. When I mean I would have gave that officer business.
I ain't lying.
Officer Davis, you would have saw on camera, I would have physically linebacker him off that man.
Yep.
Because that's a human being asking for his life. That's not a dog. That's not something that the person is asking for their life. So those other officers around who sit around there watch it, I'm gonna be straight up. You're a punk ass officer. You don't need to be wearing the badge.
Nope.
And any officer out there who right now, if you feel that was okay, you need to take that badge off.
Take it off. Because
you have hate in your heart. You're not standing for humanity. You have hate in your heart, which if you're gonna wear the badge, you can't have hate. You can't be discriminated towards somebody because of their race or because of their sexuality. You have to be open to everybody. But again, that officer had hate in his heart, hate in his eyes. His demeanor displayed hatred. And for those other officers that sit there and watch it, they are damn cowards too. They're just as guilty to see that man, and the man is asking for a breath of life. That's it. That's all the man is asking for, the breath. He is on his stomach. He is handcuffed. He can't do any physical harm to you. And only thing that the man was asking for was his breath. And for you to just sit there and apply more pressure, knee pressure, that's hate upon your heart. Hate for a person of that color. That's all it was. And for myself, having been in a situation where I saw an officer doing something wrong, I'm gonna be straight up, I checked his ass. other sergeants were there, and I checked them. And that officer came back later and he apologized to me because knew he was wrong. And I told every sergeant, every lieutenant out there, I said, yes, I checked him. And I said, I will hope you would check him too, or some disciplinary action should be taken out of him too as well. Because you can't have hate in your heart when you're wearing that uniform. You're hold to a different standard.
Yep.
These people, these citizens that look up to you when you make that 911 call, you're there to help those people, even when it's bad. But if you have hate on your heart and right now you're an officer, just take your badge off.
Because it's gonna show.
It's gonna show.
It's gonna show how you feel.
And get personal help for your hate. Because that's all it is. Hate up in your heart. It's just hate. It's hatred. Racism. It's hatred. And it's sad. It's just sad because I've been there when someone took their last breath. And meaning when I've been there when someone has been shot.
Yeah.
And just to see, I don't know. Again, he was shot, and we came on scene, and we called on EMS to come along and everything. But we were just with him and just telling him to hold on. He got in a gun battle with someone else. And I was just telling the brother, hey man, just hold on. Just breathe. And you just hear, it's sad as an officer. That's one thing at the office, you're placing, you're placing so many different things.
It's not black and white.
It's not black and white. It was a black on crime situation. But just to hear that young man just say, just to breathe, and he just wanted to, I'm talking about not from I'm talking about from the incident where the person was shot. And I just telling the young man just to breathe. And for him just hit that last breath and know as an officer, his family, none of his family members there, but I'm the one who had to experience this young brother taking his last breath over a gunshot battle or a gun battle. It's sad. But then what's really disheartening is to see that black brother laying on his stomach, and that officer who was wearing that badge, taking away his last breath. Not from doing something, not from shooting towards the officer, not for being
felon
offense. It was over. The officers were there because it was a possible counterfeit $20 that was a transaction that occurred. Are you serious?
And what were you saying about trust? You're supposed to trust.
Because, as much, I'm going to be honest with you, people love the fire. They love the firefighters. The old police, but the minute something happened, call 911, call the police. And we are pretty much the first ones on the scene. And we don't know, most of the time, we don't know what we are walking into because the worst calls for us are domestic violence and traffic stops. Because y'all know what's going on. We're just getting a piece of the information from the dispatcher. It's not all black and white, guys. I say it didn't have to happen. The reason why I say it didn't have to happen, I was shot at twice. I apprehended the guy, me and my partner. Guess what? I could have shot him and been justified doing it. But we handcuffed him and we took him and we set up a perimeter. Mm-hmm. It don't have to be what y'all see. Officers need to learn how to talk to citizens. Because you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm going to be honest with you. You can go on a scene and it could be all the way live. But if you walk in there cool, calm, and collected, the majority of the time, you're going to bring people right where you at. Am I right, T?
Yeah.
But guess what now? You're going to have them ones that they ain't handed, and guess what? Then you got to become a real police then. But from my experience, as long as I was able to treat you like you was an adult and I didn't talk down to you, I got the same level of respect. Mm-hmm. And the next time y'all see me, hey, Officer, man, what's going on? What's up? And guess what they'll do? They'll start calling They'll start calling back in when they have a problem. I want Officer Womack to come to my house. They get to know you just like that. They don't want nobody but you. And guess what? When something go wrong in your area, they gonna call you and they gonna give him up. They gonna tell you, you know what? I won't call, but I'm gonna tell you here it was so and so who that did. All right, thank you.
And you talked about that too.
And that's the kind of rapport you want to build. That's when you get out, like T say, you get out and you walk amongst your citizens, and you shouldn't. Jay'll tell you how many kids I used to bring kids home to my house and stay with us. That I encountered, I met from a domestic violence or whatever. They was in my house. I bought clothes. I bought diapers. I fed people. We ain't all bad guys. Do we have to sometimes do our job? Yeah, but you know what? I ain't gonna put my foot on nobody's neck. I ain't have to do that. And I'm gonna tell you, man, I had lady almost bit my god doggone finger off. But I ain't put my foot on her neck. I done had so many tetanus shots, but I ain't put my foot on nobody's neck. And that's battery on a PO. That's a felony. I don't understand. That's all.
Well, also as an officer, one thing that I loved about the training at APD, we took a course called verbal judo, and I think that course has to be ingrained in every officer. And verbal judo is, just as Ms. Kim said, is basically you coming on the scene. It could be a hostile situation, and I can calm everybody down through just talking to them. I learned that through verbal judo. When I took that course, I went to the instructor, and I took more time with that too as well, because I saw, man, I don't have to pull out my baton.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to pull out any other things on my belt to calm a situation down. I can verbally just go in there and speak and talk to them and calm everything down. And I learned that tactic so well that honestly, I didn't get into a lot of altercations on the streets. Honestly, I probably say the 4 years I spent there, I would say like 20% of the time I got in 20% of the time I got in an altercation. But other than that 80% of the time, it's verbal judo. It's verbal judo. And they was like, wow. They expected me come on the scene hostile, ready to arrest. Mm-hmm. No, I came in there calm. It's called kicking that verbal judo. He said, kick the verbal judo. And you kick the verbal judo, and next thing you know, if you want to arrest this guy, he may be, I'm 6 foot. This guy may be 6'5", 250, solid. I don't need no backup, because I know how to verbally get him in them cuffs without a fight. Mm-hmm. It's been instances on the scene where a hostile situation between two brothers, they was fighting, they was getting down. And I came on the scene and I told them to stop. I said, well, I'll watch until y'all kill yourselves. Then how about that? Guess what? They stopped. They looked at me like, man, you supposed to come in here and stop the fight. I said, I ain't gonna stop y'all from fighting, because I'm not gonna call no backup. I don't think I'm gonna always call the coroner. And they stopped immediately. Mm-hmm. But it's called verbal judo. And I think more police departments need to implement that course, verbal judo, because a lot of times you don't even have to go to a taser. Mm-mm. You don't have to go to no pepper spray. Mm-mm. It's about that mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk real quick, because we got a lot to cover. Corruption in the police department and discrimination. I'm gonna ask y'all 2 questions. One, is it black and white in the police department, just like it's black and white in society?
Yeah, it is.
Society is the police department.
Why?
The police department is part of society. So you have that wherever you go. Wherever you go, if it's racism out in the world, it's racism in the police department.
Jobs too.
In the jobs, any industry that you go to, if it's racism everywhere. So you're gonna have it in the police department, but it may not be as, I would say, forthcoming. Yes, it may be in a disclosed way, mm-hmm. but it is racism. But I'm a person that I don't believe in racism. I believe that everyone is equally
on legal playing field.
Equal playing field, but also that everyone has the equal rights to what America has.
So how can y'all say, which we all know is racism everywhere, even in the police department, but then we as citizens are are expecting you as officers to protect us, but there's hidden racism amongst the culture.
And see, that's why I say to y'all citizens that's watching this, it's not so black and white like y'all think when y'all want to tell us what you think that we should do, because y'all don't know what we're dealing with in the office place. A lot of it starts in the office. I don't know about with T, but even when we do things from a discipline, we have to be disciplinary, where it starts out being like maybe like a deficiency for being late or whatever you're getting. And when it comes up to it, you have a reprimand. I kid you not. Our discipline was not the same as the white counterparts or the Latin guys. We would get 180 hours and they might get 20 hours reprimand. And when I say hours, that means they're taking 120 hours or 20 hours of your pay. And we saw that. It would be the officers, black officers, Latin officers, whatever color that you are. You do whatever you do, and you have to be disciplined according to the SOPs and the departmental orders. It could be the same thing. And when we go, because you got FOP, you have representatives that represent you when you go to DRD hearings and stuff like that. I be god doggone. Whoever your representative that go with you, he gonna pull out some paperwork and say, hey, back in so Officer Lopez, Officer Johnson, he did the same thing. Y'all only gave him a deficiency, and that was it. But why y'all trying to get 20 hours or get 80 hours out of her? And that's disheartening, because it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And that's within the department.
And then what it does, it causes confusion between the officers.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we are working, we are talking about it at our off-duty jobs. And letting you all know that we don't like, well, why you got, and then it caused confusion amongst the officers.
Mm-hmm.
Because we letting you know you did the same thing, but you got this and I got this. What's up with that? And it causes division when it should not be division. When, like T say, it should be across the board when it comes to discipline.
Somebody said, where was the equality in the disciplinary procedures for black versus white officers? What's the disciplinary procedures for black versus white? Is it the same as an officer, the disciplinary?
It's the same disciplinary. It's supposed to be the same, but again, it's not handled that way.
It's not handled that way.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be equal across the board, the disciplinary.
But it's not
actions.
handled that way.
Another insight too as well, as far as an officer being equal and across the board, just as Ms. Kim spoke about her situation with someone firing a gun at her, and how they arrested the gentleman without even physically putting their hands on them, and I mean beating them down or even shooting back at him, even they probably had the right to. Every situation that when an officer come on scene is not for officer in I'm just saying in a physical altercation, that an officer need to raise it to the next level.
That's right.
Meaning that if I get in a hand-to-hand and come back with you, a lot of times it's not necessary for me to pull out my taser. It's not necessary for me to go to even, I would say, a baton. But a lot of times an officer come on scene and it gets physical, they automatically jump to the next, I would say, your defensive mechanism on your belt. So it's a level you take it to, and you go towards there for. So a certain situation, if I can't handle him physical combat, maybe I have to go to my next step is using my pepper spray. Well, if I can't pepper spray and calm down with pepper spray, maybe I use my taser. If the taser is not working, maybe I have to use my baton. But it's different levels, you have to take it. But a lot of times officers they take it 3 levels high, and when it shouldn't be 3 levels high. Mm-hmm. And that's when they say, do white individuals or citizens, or excuse me, white officers fear African American men,
Yeah, they do.
or are they scared of African American men?
Yes, they are.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, in training, in our training in the academy, there were some some white officer when we had to do hand-to-hand combat. They were kind of scared and hesitant in going hand-to-hand combat because naturally, as an African American man, you're built differently, you're more athletic, and I can't say that you possess more strength, but usually you're bigger, and a lot of my white counterparts would feel intimidated, and but that goes back to there are other ways to handle a situation, and you don't even have to get physical.
Right.
That goes back to verbal judo. Even though I'm physically built, and I come on the scene and I handle bigger, and I have someone, a perpetrator that may be bigger than me, I use verbal judo. So in the instance that I would say a white officer, a white counterpart, or another race officer come on the scene and they're interacting or engaging or had to go physically with an African American male, it's other means you can handle it without going to the next level. Verbal judo, and we had a lot of talk about that in our class. I'm talking about APD class. We had a lot of talk about that, and I sat down and I talked with each and every one of them about that, how to handle yourself in that situation, because a lot of them felt intimidated. And all right, you might be intimidated, but still handle yourself right, and don't look to always seeking that, again, having to take it to that next level. So intimidation is there. Sometimes they feel intimidated, but if you feel intimidated and you feel that you have to go to an extreme of harm, I don't think you being a police officer it's a right choice, a right idea. And that's what I love about Whitefield. He had a wrestling background and everything, but he didn't use those techniques. He know how to use those techniques in the right time, but not all the time when he's entering into altercation. That's what I love about him, because again, we use verbal judo and we practice that so much, him and I, and we was like, man, we don't have to do nothing. We just did verbal judo.
So what, on the flip side of that, when or what constitutes an instance where you have to pull out your gun? Because we saw with Mike Brown, we saw with Trayvon Martin, where an officer was intimidated, got scared, and pulled out a gun. What are some instances? And we talked about the power of the pen, and let's talk about that too. Name some instances in which you have to pull out your gun, or you might have to take someone's life, and it's justifiable.
Well, it was during a traffic stop, and the young man, he was a teenager, young African American male. He was on the passenger side. I didn't come on the driver's side because we were at an intersection and it was traffic along my driver's side. So I came on the passenger side. I'm solo, and I came to the passenger side door, the B frame of the door, and I stood back and I said, driver, I said, let me have your license and registration. So the gentleman on the passenger seat, he said the registration is in the glove department. Glove box. So he pulled down the glove box, and immediately before he reached in, I saw the gun. So I immediately tell him, I said, stop, don't even reach in there. And I pulled my gun. I said, hey, everybody, I said, I want you, so I had the passenger to raise his hand and put his hands behind the seat right here. And I had the driver to lean forward over the steering wheel. And I told him, I said, if y'all make any movement towards any other thing, if you make it towards that weapon, if you make any movement towards that weapon, I'm gonna blow your brains out. I said, driver, if you make any sudden movement, I'm gonna blow your brains out. I said, I just want you to hold this position until I get another officer on the scene and we can clarify who gun is that. And through the time, just talking to him, I'm just having normal conversation. I have my gun drawn and I have my gun at him. And I'm also telling him, I said, man, why the hell they're teenagers. I'm saying, why the hell y'all riding around here with a pistol in the car? And they said, man, that ain't my gun, man. That gun been in there. I said, man, but why y'all walking around riding around here with that gun? I said, y'all are teenagers, and this right here can get you killed. I said, by you reaching in there, I had probable cause to blow your brains out. I saw the gun, but if I had hate in my heart, I would let you reach for that. And guess what? If I would have shot you, it would have been justifiable.
Mm.
But I don't have hate in my heart. I look to that as a human being. That human being might be making a mistake that they don't understand. So we was able to. Another officer came on the scene. We was able to get him out of the car, and we was able to run the gun and everything. The gun came back stolen. They ended up getting arrested and all of that. But that was the scenario where it was a split-second decision. It was a split-second decision where I could have pulled the trigger and it could have been justified. But when I'm looking through my sight, I'm not looking through hatred. I'm looking through peace and solving and protecting. So I'm protecting myself, but not only I'm protecting myself, I'm protecting that individual in that car too as well, because he don't realize what the mistake he's about to make. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what a lot of officers, they have to understand that when you're looking through the eyesight, you can't look through the eyesight of hatred or racism or discrimination. Mm-hmm. You got to look through that as you're quoted as a peace officer creating peace.
Well, I'm going to tell y'all guys, I done pulled my gun out so much, this pathetic. I ain't no count because it was, when in doubt, pull it out. But when it was absolutely necessary. If I'm checking a dope house, it's out. If I'm doing a felony stop, it's out. So it just depends on what's going on and your comfort of being safe. But one thing I did, I always would practice. Just because I pulled my gun out, my finger wasn't always on the trigger. Because adrenaline is pumping. Not only are you keeping your eye on your subject, you can't get tunnel vision because you got to pay attention to what's going on around you. It's a whole lot of variables. Mm-hmm. And it's just not about their partner. Because guess what? It could be somebody else. So you paying attention to everything that's going on, to like T say, until you get some backup there. And you're not always in a position where you got a 15-hour backup there. Sometimes it's just you and that person. Just like me and Sandy, and she was like, man, Kim, I was chasing the guy, man, I had them fell over the bush. And said, I asked the boy, why you ain't get up and run? He said, man, and let me tell y'all something. We was talking about this yesterday. It's something about women cops. They're kind of more afraid of us because they know that we can't outbeat them and we might shoot them quicker. Because we can't beat them physically. We don't have the physical strength. And from the command of our voice, it sends volumes. We could stop them in their tracks. At least we was able to do it. So it's just going to depend on what's going on with you and your level of being comfortable or what you dealing with. Because I'm going to tell you, when in doubt, I pulled mine out. And I didn't shoot nobody because like I was telling Jay last night, before you pull that trigger, baby, you better know the law. You better know the elements of the crime. And you better know before you pull that trigger, what you doing. Because you'll have a situation on your hand. Nice. You better be able to justify what you're doing. And I feel for me, for everything I've ever dealt with when I could have, that extra split second gave me the opportunity not to get involved in a shooting. And I thank God for that. Now, split second could cost you your life, but I just believe this, your discernment and you're just gonna know. You're just gonna know if you ain't trigger happy. A trigger happy person like T say that got hatred in your heart and just wanna. You just say you just scared. You just nervous, and you feel like you can't handle the situation without shooting somebody. And I've never felt that. I was always able to defuse something without pulling the trigger and taking anybody's life, not even shooting them in the leg.
Because you guys are taught that human life is
it's
valuable.
It's valuable, and we are taught in law. When we taught law, when we're taught law in school, you do not take anybody's life to protect property, but to defend life, because life is irreplaceable. You go out and buy another sofa. You gonna shoot somebody because they stole your TV? Man, you better go to Walmart and get you another TV.
Or a $20 bill.
Hello?
Counterfeit 20.
Hello?
Or counterfeit 20.
Or Skittles.
Or
Right.
Skittles. Or because or suspended license.
Nah, it ain't worth it.
And that's why now that America is kind of feeling are feeling the pains of African Americans, not only African Americans, but those who understand a person of being a human being in humility. So right now, these are the side effects of when America doesn't hold those who wear that badge accountable, because it's a lost trust. And when you don't hold those accountable for their action, it's called injustice. And when injustice happens, it continues to happen, and it's blatantly done in the faces of the media, cell phones, and the Justice Department failed to interact on it,
or justice
happen. Guess what you get? You get chaos. And right now, America's in chaos. So everybody's saying they're rioting. Yeah. I don't condone it. Everybody say don't condone it.
So my thing is,
it's going to happen, because if you're not heard in a soft tone, I'm talking in soft tone, and I'm telling you, hey, these officers out here are killing African American men left and right. And nothing is, and why are you guys not doing it? I keep saying in the soft tone. We're telling you, hey, it's something wrong with their protest. It's something going on. It's something going on. And then eventually, guess what? This soft voice is going to get tired, and it's going to be raised. So the people are tired. Not only African Americans, there are white people who are tired. There are Asian people who are tired. There are Latino people who are tired.
It's universal.
Yes, universal. That people are tired of seeing that African Americans are getting killed in America left and right. So what? The anger that's built up becomes rioting. And if you look back in history lesson, if you go back in history, this is what happens. Rioting happened. Go back to Boston Tea Party.
Yeah. So someone asked, as described prior in the conversation, so if you would have pulled your trigger out and you would have killed somebody as a black officer, pulled your gun out, and killed someone as a black officer, do you think you would have been tried to the highest extent of the law versus the white officers that we're seeing now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely. They would have. I think more so if
you would have killed the black person.
The police department, internal affairs would have done their investigation thoroughly, and probably would have questioned, did I go through all my steps as far as actions prior to pulling that trigger? They would have asked me if there was a white gentleman, but in the same situation, I had my knee on his neck. They would have the question, first of all, was he handcuffed? Yes. Were there other officers there to assist if this man would have got out of hand and he's handcuffed on his stomach? Yes. So if that was me as an African American officer and I had my neck on that white civilian neck, it would have been a totally different case. I would have been arrested within hours I would have been fired. First of all, I've been fired within a couple hours. I would have been charges would have been brought to me in a quicker fashion than now, and I would have been arrested.
You agree?
I absolutely. Without a question of a doubt.
So moving on, and this is something I want to talk about. For young Black men, for young Black females, for people who are going through issues with the police, who feel like, you know, if I get stopped by the police, I don't know what to expect. My life is in danger. Psychologically, it messes with you when you're constantly seeing these videos and constantly seeing people, innocent Black lives lost. As an African American person, it does something to you now when you see the police, because like you said, the trust has been broken.
Mm-hmm.
So for a young Black male, a young Black female, specifically for them, I want to talk about them first. What are some steps and things that they can do if they are stopped by the police, and what should and what shouldn't they do? So let's talk about what should they do if you're stopped by the police, if you're pulled over.
Well, I think the first thing you do, we was always taught in the academy that attitude plays a part. Whether you can escalate the situation or not. People have this habit that when they're stopped, when a traffic stop, what you stopping me for? Man, don't ask the cop that. Just sit tight. They gonna tell you. You understand? Because they already expecting you to be pissed off because you done pulled them over. Just chill out. Because 9 times out of 10, if your attitude is cool and he ain't no butthole, he just gonna talk to you and say, but you know, you do it so and so. Oh, and you just, hey officer, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. But don't be aggressive in your conversation with him. Because I'm gonna tell y'all something. Being that I was a police for as long as I was, I'm scared of the police now. I'm serious. You laughing? And I carry a retirement badge on me, and I have been stopped. I think like 12. We go out of town, I get stopped. I be speeding, but I be like, my badge, because my badge is in like a black wallet. Or I have told cops, listen, I'm a retired police. I got my gun on me. Here, you want me to get out the car? I've had to do that. But you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even carry my gun no more. Because I don't want, and I'm always running up and down the road to Alabama for my mom. Man, nah. Because I'm not there on the street with that. It's a stretch. And I don't want nobody to, because I'm not disrespectful. I done been in law enforcement. I know what I don't like for people to do. I'm not going to do it. I'm so scared to chance going to Alabama on that stretch and somebody pull me up, because I do be speeding. I ain't going to lie. And I got my gun in the car, and they shoot and say I was pulling for it. Shanice, y'all going to know that's a lie, because I ain't going to do that. So if that happened, y'all know I ain't do that. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm uncomfortable when police are even riding behind me and I'm just driving, going nowhere. I make sure that just like y'all do, I slow down, I do right, I put the hands on the steering wheel, because I don't want to be bothered. Because I don't know what I'm gonna be dealing with. Everybody's not gonna have the same type of attitude that me and T is talking about right now.
And that's because you've been an officer, so you understand.
And I understand.
Okay. So for the young, like you guys said, no aggressive.
Yes.
Comply.
Yeah.
So for me, like, as I was always, my parents taught me to say yes, sir, and no, sir. So a lot of times when the officer pull me over, I'm just saying yes, sir, no, sir. I'm answering his questions. If I have a question, I say, sir, I have a question. And you ask your question because you have a right to question too as well. But say it and again, not in an aggressive manner. And I always say, use yes, sir, and no, sir. Just use that respect. Just give them that respect. And a lot of times that will calm that officer down when you say yes, sir, and no, sir. And again, it's using verbal judo. You may be in the wrong by you expressing, you respecting him, saying, oh, yes, sir, officer. No, sir, officer. Yes, ma'am. Or it may be a female officer. Yes, ma'am. No, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Just by giving that respect, using verbal judo. And that will calm that officer down, kind of ease them down, because a lot of times some officers when they pull you over, they're kind of nervous themselves, because again, you never know what that driver or those passengers may potentially can do harm to you. So they're nervous, just as you're nervous. They're nervous too. But just remember, use yes sir, no sir, and if you have to go into your glove compartment or you have to go in somewhere and reach in the type of compartment, say, sir, I'm about to retrieve whatever my license, registration, or my pocketbook, or even if you do have your gun, I'm saying, sir, I do carry. My gun is located in this certain compartment, or my gun is located in between my seat right here. Just let them know. Say, I don't feel comfortable reaching for it. I don't feel comfortable reaching for it. If you prefer a certain way, how do you like for me to proceed? So always asking the officer so they won't be on ease. I mean, you kind of ease the tension off of them too as well, because they're just as nervous as you are too as well, especially for your at night when they have you pulled over. Another thing, a keynote can do at night when the officer come pull you over, and everyone has 10 on their windows. If it's not too cold, just say if the weather is perfect, roll down all your windows.
Yeah.
Just roll down all your windows. You roll down all your windows, and even if you can, turn on your interior lights. Mm-hmm. That would kind of take the ease off too as well. So those some of the key notes I would give you, far as if you were pulled over to an officer, first giving respect, speaking in a calm manner, and anytime you want to do something, move around in the car, or you're reaching for something, just tell them what you're reaching for and explain exactly what you're about to do step by step. Also, now a lot of cars, and you can get. I would suggest get a camera system in your car.
My next question.
So if you are aware of the camera system that you can have in your car, get a camera system in your car where you can see the interaction. That the cameras they're not too expensive, but I think that's a dash cam. I think that's the next step into make sure that kind of can catch up with technology, and where technology has advanced now, to also to have that security blanket there for you. Because I mean, it's not going to stop what possibly going to happen, but it can bring light to any type of situation. So I think also that would help too as well.
Another thing you can do, and I have done this. I was on the phone with somebody, because it takes them a few minutes to pull you over. You just see the light. Man, get on your phone and dial somebody and just put it on speaker and just tell them to shut it up. You know, pulled over by the police. Mm-hmm. And another thing you can do, man, you can always act like you don't hear the lights and the siren. Man, you keep on riding till you get a well-lit area. Ride and pull over where it's some movement. And
if you're going to do that, make sure you put on your emergency lights.
Yep.
If you're going to proceed to where you're trying to go to,
I want to be safe. I'm putting off the way safely.
Just put on your emergency mm-hmm. lights and slowly proceed mm-hmm. to where you're going. Do not continue going the speed that the road. So don't continue going 55 miles per hour. Chase you. Put on your emergency light and slowly roll. Mm-hmm. And that's the only thing you do. Then when you go to the lit parking space or wherever you're trying to get to, far as you can have more light, then you stop right there. But also make sure you put on your hazard lights, your emergency lights. Let them know that you're going to pull over. Hopefully he's aware and he sees that, he has a conscious mind to see that, all right, this individual has their emergency lights on and they're going to possibly pull over for me, and they get to the well-lit area.
So how about, somebody asked, what about body cameras?
Well, and I don't know about T, but when I've been retired, 14 years, we didn't have body cameras, but from what I understand now, the city of Miami Police, everybody's wearing one now.
You said your personal one, or what? Police officer body cameras? Mm-hmm. With the police, what personal one?
She just said, what about body cameras?
From a person.
A person. If you're sitting in the vehicle and you have a body camera on the footage is going to mainly, because you'll be doing less movement, so it will pick up more so of the A-frame of the car to you moving towards, just say your dash. So it's going to pick up that front movement. It's not really going to. It's going to take away some of the action that you need to see from yourself and the officer, what's going on between you guys. So that body camera, it may or may not help, but I prefer, I would say, actual camera on your dash that would give you a visibility of where the officer is standing, where you're sitting, and also it will pick up on the communication too as well.
Or even your cell phone? Can you record on your cell phone?
Yes, it's okay to record now, but it's part of it. But see, the problem, what a lot of people have is that they're recording and simultaneously the officer is giving you an order or asking something for of you. So you have to be wise enough to say, place the phone down, put it on the dash right there, and you tell the officer then your next step. But if you can put it on your dashboard, if you have to put it on the dash, it's recording so it can hear. You're still being heard too as well. So they can still hear the commands of what the officer is stating to as well. It's not visually seen, but it's heard. So I would suggest if you're filming the officer, it's okay. But if he's asking you to do something, just place it on the dash. And again, you still have the camera on, so you're still getting you can still hear what's going on.
All right. Sabine said, "Hi, Miss Kim. Hi,
Hey,
T."
Sabine.
She asked, and we're gonna get to these comments and questions. Sabine wants to know, because of all this racial tension out there, would you recommend dialing 911 if a police officer pulls you over and let them know that you are African American and you are being pulled over?
Well, with that right there, calling, I would suggest if the officer, I would say, call them. Just especially if you just say in small towns or country towns, make that phone call if you feel comfortable making that phone call too as well. Also, if you're on scene and you have an officer who's being very aggressive, say, "Might I have a sergeant?"
Sergeant, yeah.
Can you call out for a sergeant to come on?
Come on, scene.
It's any department responsibility to that sergeant has to respond. If they fail to respond, it's negligence.
Yep.
So anytime you're pulled over by an officer and you feel uncomfortable by his action, and he's being aggressive, just say, "Might have a sergeant to come on duty." And that probably can help some of the situations where you have an aggressive officer. But back to your question, as far as calling 911, if you feel comfortable, call 911. Say, "I've been pulled over by an officer and I'm feeling uncomfortable." Then also suggest might have a sergeant to come out too as well to accompany this officer because he's being very aggressive. So that's another action you can take too as well to help probably calm the officer down if he's been aggressive, and probably take off his blinders if he's seeing something that he doesn't need to see.
But the flip side of that, if you get a butthole, he gonna be telling you put the effing phone down. He ain't gonna let you do nothing.
But
And that call might have to be made once you're done and you're there and you go to the nearest precinct. While it's still just happened. You get what I'm saying? So it's gonna depend on who you dealing with too. Because guess what? What if it had been something like this man who just did what he did? Then he might be one of them kind of people that they'll take and knock the phone out your hand.
And that becomes like, how do you deal? So how do you deal with this? So and that's why it's become to a point where people are rioting. People are saying, "All right, what else they supposed to do?" If I comply to the orders of what the officer have given me, he asked me turn around. I turn around. He asked me to put my hands behind my back. I place my hand behind my back. And when I place my hand behind my back, he goes into another move of killing me. So what I'm supposed to do? Put my hands behind my back and not fight for my life? So you have to look at both sides. And right now the people are tired. When I say the people are tired, all races are tired. It's just not African Americans. All races are tired of what's happening. And the only ones who are not tired are racist people. The ones who see nothing wrong with what's occurring are racist. It's no other way you can view this. It's you're racist or you're tired. And majority of the people in America are tired of what's happened to African Americans. And like you say, you comply to all orders, you do what's asked of the officer, and you place in handcuffs and you still are killed. It's straight racist.
Because once a person is handcuffed, that's it. It's over.
That's it.
It's over. So why do I have to die? You know, and the thing about it is, you don't have. See, there's certain rules and regulations. When you're handcuffed, you're supposed to be handcuffed to the back because you're at a disadvantage to run or do anything because you're off balance. Except for that guy who I seen last night running with them flex cuffs on. He was moving. But you're at a disadvantage. So why do I have to die and I'm at a disadvantage and my hands are behind my back? Because if your hand it's against department of orders for us to ever handcuff somebody to the front, because guess what? You can still fight, move, and run and everything when you're handcuffed in the front. So that's why for us, you have to handcuff a person in the back, because let me tell you something. Let a sergeant come or something happen, and I've had somebody get out. They waved at the guy out the car and he ran and whatever. He was in cuffs, but anyway, we caught him. But then they'll turn around and write you up because they're gonna say, according to department orders, you're supposed to have that man handcuffed in the back while you got him in the front. Mm-hmm. You're gonna get rolled up for that. So, like Jay say, he on the ground, you're at a disadvantage. You're handcuffed. It's over.
Yep, and the training academy with APD, once we had scenarios where we do our training where once we place those cuffs on the individual, that's it.
That's it.
So even with physical, sometimes even through physical altercation, we got in fist fights. We get in a fist fight. I tell them once we put them cuffs on, that's it. So you probably have a officer who's still upset and heated by the perp may hit him in the jaw. You got to take that jaw lick, and once we get them cuffs on, that's it right there. I've had instances where I had got in a physical altercation. We went ham on them. We put them hands on them. Then once we put them cuffs on them, that's it.
That's it.
He fought with us. We fought back. Put them cuffs on, and guess what? Even with the perpetrator, man, we sat down last. We like, hey. He like, he started naming the officer. Oh yeah, you took one. I got you in your reel with so and so like that. Yeah, you got that jaw. You know, we laughed about it, but at the end of the day, he's in handcuffs now. Yeah. And we sat down. It's funny. This is the person we just arrested. We sit here laughing about the physical altercation. It happened. He got to go and take that ride. And now we go down to what the Jay's talking about the paperwork.
Pen
and paper.
And then you know, even with that being said, you got people, once you put them in the back of your car, they would kick your windows out.
Oh yeah.
So then guess what you gonna do? Y'all gonna pull his behind him out the car, then you gonna hog tie. Again, his hands are still to the back. Then you're gonna get some flex cuffs. You're gonna put around them ankles and them legs, and you're gonna hog tie him, and then you just gonna put him back out the car. He ain't gonna kick out no more windows. Yeah. You ain't still gotta kill him.
You still don't
you
have to touch him.
You ain't gotta put his foot on his
You don't gotta fight him or nothing. Just tie them legs up and that's it. But
So go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say probable cause real quick. What does the term probable cause mean to both of you?
Oh, the exact definition. I used to have this memorized. We had to know this when we laid the academy. And guess what? It's been
I'll pull it up.
I forgot.
Probable cause, reasonable grounds for making a search or pressing a charge. Warrants allow police to detain people but not handcuff and search them without probable cause.
We had a different. But
probable cause exists when a police officer has a significant knowledge of facts to warrant belief that a suspect is committing or has committed a crime. Right. Belief must be based on factual evidence, not just on suspicion.
And what you see.
And that's what the problem. That's what the problem. It gets a little gray
area
because it's either eyes. So you have to trust the judicial system. Trust the officer eyes. That's why you take oath. So they are trusting what the officer sees, saying that this individual is doing something and I have probable cause to arrest him. I have reason. There's no reasonable doubt that this person is committing a crime. And the judicial system trusts the eyes of that officer. Again, when they take that oath. So they're trusting the eyes of the officer saying that this person is committing a crime and this gives them probable cause to arrest. There's so many areas and scenarios that I can give you to say, all right, I have probable cause to arrest. But let's go back to the scenario that what happened. I don't. They're probable cause, I guess, to arrest because This person had a counterfeit $20 bill. All right, they had a counterfeit $20 bill. So have this person been identified as the person who did the transaction, first of all? Do we know that? We don't know the totality of the circumstance. Is he the one from the person, whoever store owner called the police, and is he the one who made that transaction? All right, first of all, boom, he's the one who made that transaction. This is a counterfeit 20. Then I asked the owner, how do you know this is a counterfeit 20? First of all, before I make a risk, first I'm gonna stop the subject and say, sir, they saying, yeah, you probably had that fake 20 on you, bro. That's how I come, but you got to come talk to me real quick. That's verbal. That's that verbal judo. Come talk to me real quick. All right. So while I'm talking to him, I have another officer in there. If this is a counterfeit 20, I'm having the store owner to use the marker to check, because I need probable cause to arrest this individual saying that he is using a counterfeit 20. So I'm gonna have the store owner slide the little marker across there, and if it identifies that this is a counterfeit 20, and also, do you have video too as well that he came into this store? So boom, I have video. I have a counter. If it was a counterfeit, I have a counterfeit 20. So now, as an officer, I have cause to arrest because I have video. I have the actual 20 that he used, and I have the store owner who used the marker to cross that, and I have the store owner as a witness. That's probable cause.
So, but what happens? Let's go a little deeper here. I go in the store, I pay for something. The man hit it with the little pen, and he tell me 20 ain't no good. But I just came from Marshall's, from the little store we like to go to, and I gave him $100 bill, and that was my change. I don't know.
All right. So that's when you go out there and confront him. Sir, the $20 bill that you gave them, we did a check. It was counterfeit. Do you have any more counterfeit money, or do you know you got the 20 from? And you have to hear his side too as well. And if it's that scenario, far as where possibly that he did pick up the 20 from somewhere else.
And you know what? I've had cases like that. And you know what we did?
That's true.
We do a report. Mm-hmm. We do an incident report. We take the 20. We put it in a pound. And guess what? You just was out of $20 bill. See, sir. Have a nice day.
And it's not serious. And for that store owner, then also, if I believe, if I'm trying to really figure this out too as well, and trying to help the individual, I'm gonna say, sir, do you have any other money that you received from that store? If you want mine, we can go ahead and check and see if those counterfeit. Mm-hmm. And if you did get that from that store, it need to be investigated on that store, because right now they gave you counterfeit 20, and we need to go recoup your money. Yep. So that's another instance too as well. But again, it's called policing and knowing how to police with common damn sense. But everybody don't have common sense.
Yeah. So somebody asked, what's the difference between probable cause to stop and search and the cause to arrest?
Stop and search. Well,
stop and searching now is different because the law changed. Each state has a different law too as well.
See, we would like. Let me give you an instance for that. You driving down the road, you got a tail light out. Now I'm gonna stop you for defective equipment and let you know you got a tail light out. Once I get to the car, get your license, everything, I run a check on you. Now your license suspended. Now that's probable cause. I can go that way. I run you. You got a warrant. Mm-hmm. Or I get to the car, I smell some weed. Now I'm finna probably arrest you for, if I feel like, depending on how much stuff you got, I might just say, I should just make them throw it down and destroy it. That's the hurt of the little smokers. Worse than that. Oh man, just step on that junk and let me pour some water on it. You have a nice day. So it's just like T say, it just varies. It's different. It's just different. Then
another scenario, for as me, I used to work in Zone 1, and Zone 1 at the time, it had a strong, far as the meth being sold in Zone 1 is, if you know what the Mercedes-Benz Dome. If you go by the past Mercedes-Benz Dome and you happen on Northside Drive, and you see the Exxon right there. 2 blocks right there behind Exxon, that spot right there was the hottest meth in the Southeast that you can
smell
purchase.
meth.
And what a lot of Caucasian people from the suburbs would come there and buy the meth. So we knew that was a hot spot, and we used to just watch them, and we would pull them over for a traffic violation, put them over for a traffic violation, but we know they were there to purchase meth.
That's probable.
And another way that we would to get probable cause to make arrests on them, because certain traffic violations are not an arrestable offense. So I probably get he or she for a stop sign violation. But then also, if I know this person's possibly over here, I ask them what they do in this area, and they begin to tell me lies, and I feel like not telling the truth. I know they possibly come over here to purchase meth because they slowly drive around, and I know this possibility. So in that area, we always kept the officer there with a search dog, because we know the meth was coming out of there left and right. And the only thing the dog give us dog would walk around there, sniff. And the dog is a swarm officer too. So guess what? When little Blue smell and start scratching, it's probably cause to go up in that vehicle, because guess what? The dog is hitting on something that is illegal, and the dog has senses and it's been trained to find illegal drugs in the car. So that's probable cause to go in.
All right. We're going to wrap up in a few minutes, but I want to go through some of these comments that we have here. Lisa has been commenting, and she asks, would you say this probable cause is at the discretion of an officer? Yes or no?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Because sometimes if you feel threatened in any way, that's enough probable cause to take an investigation further.
Okay. Lavora. Hey, Lavora.
Hey, Lavora.
She said, I fear now that the good officers will be disrespected and even harmed because of the heightened sensitivity that has been on repeat. I also fear that Black people will begin responding rationally because of feeling threatened by law enforcement, but fear that even in a simple situation, they could be murdered. This is a very sad time.
It is.
And how that can be solved is right now that it has to start with the judicial system, and make sure that these officers, for their actions, that they serve harsher sentences and they don't get a second chance.
Yeah.
For these officers, it has to be stern. And also the police departments itself has to make sure that the officer who have these type of complaints, far as any type of complaint, that it needs to be looked at.
Knowledge.
It needs to be displayed for the public to know what's going on with this officer. That way, if any occurrence continue to happen, that the public has an eye on this, not just for the department to see. It's for the citizens, because at the end of the day, the citizens are the ones who are paying for these officers to operate in their community. So that system, but it boils down to the judicial system and holding the officers accountable for their action at a higher. It should be even higher than these systems. The laws should be strict. It should be so strict that the officers should be scared to look hatred in the eye, to feel want to display hatred. That's how strict it should be, or they should be reconsidered. Like, no, I couldn't be an officer because I have hate in me, and I'd be arrested and I'd be under the jail for the rest of my life. It should be double life sentences. That's how strict it needs to be for these officers, for the bad officers. And unfortunately, for those good officers, I know plenty of white good officers right now who are pissed off because of the action of what this other gentleman has done. I know plenty of officers who are pissed because it's making their job tougher and harder, and it's making policing harder because of the action of what he did. And right now, it's not just America that sees this, the world sees this. It's become a view from the world. So now the world see America on display and how their officer acts. So how do you think someone foreign coming to visit America, they're going to be on pins and needles of seeing an officer?
And then, another thing, I was talking, what's her name? Odette. I was speaking with a lady, young lady named Odette, and we got in this deep conversation. She was asking me all these questions. And once I got off the phone with her and I started walking in audience, and I just was thinking about our conversation. And like T say, they give us sensitivity training. But you know what? I thought about, because I was like, what could I have done? What could we have done during my tenure as a police officer to make things better for the citizens? And what I came up in my mind, just like we have sensitivity training for the citizens, it need to be sensitivity training where the officers sit down and tell your other counterpart what you don't like that they do. Just let them know. So let me ask you something. Why every time I get in the car with you, we only stay in the Black community and just patrol the area? Why don't we you know what I'm saying? Call them out. Make them explain themselves. And let them know that it's unacceptable. I don't like it because this is how it makes me feel.
It's not equal.
It's not equal. Because you know what? Other nationalities break the laws just like we do. But we always over here and we never go. That's why we don't never catch them. So what's up with that? We need to start letting the people that sit in the side of us riding for 10 hours a day, let them know that what we don't like. Stand up. And if that don't work, man, be willing to take another step and start some paperwork and take it up the chain of command. And suggest some things to training that's what you need to be able to do your job correctly. And if those officers is not giving you the right answers, and I don't know what the right answers, because people can tell you what you want to hear, then they need to go back through some training, like T say. They need to go back through because I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you that I feel like psychological exams work, because they don't. The hell with it. Everybody know how to beat a test. Come on, man. But I think you need to hit it face on and make people stand up and ask them some hard questions. And either they're gonna do one or two things. They're gonna get out the car with you, like I did, and they're gonna ride by themselves, or they're gonna find them a new partner. And maybe, hopefully, go find them a new job.
Kanika Bell Brown said they need stricter background checks, psych evaluations, and longer training period before people become cops.
Yep, that's true.
They do, but
that's true.
They still get through the cracks.
Lavora wants to know, are officers told to give tickets for something as simple as a tail light out?
Well,
So
would
it make sense to just give a warning?
Well, what we did in Miami, what we would do, we would give you a ticket for defective equipment. You go and get your tail light fixed. You hold on to a receipt, and all you had to do is see another officer to sign your ticket and show that it's been fixed, and then you just mail it in and it's done.
City of Atlanta, the City of Atlanta, you just go before usually they give you a court date. You go before a judge and you show that, all right, I had their tail light repaired. But again, it's up to the officer's discretion, and that's what it becomes kind of hazy, and that way, that's why a lot of people, citizens, feel kind of like the law is not equal to as well on that part, because again, it's up to the officer's discretion. And if that officer has any type of I would say if they're racist, bias,
50 tickets, man.
or they might write you about 3 or 4.
Maybe just have inventory on your car.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate that it's up to officer discretion as far as smallest thing as a tail light being broken. And then
the thing about that, they'll walk around, they'll start writing you for everything, because guess what? They know you're not gonna fix it, you're not gonna go to court, and then your license gets suspended.
Mm-hmm.
Beatrice said body cameras, yes, but they need to be presented immediately to the public whenever something goes wrong. They need to be on all the time. Officers should also get training on how to respond to people with certain disabilities. Like there was a video of a man shot because he was deaf and couldn't hear the instructions.
Wow.
People jumped on because the suspect has back arm knee issues and can't rapidly follow orders. So that's a comment from her. Let me just go back up. We had some questions up here I didn't get to.
But that what she just said, it's like what T said, that goes to being a good officer and watching people, paying attention and understanding that I'm talking to him, but he's not moving his head. You got to pay attention to who you're talking to. And
and you're just aware of this. Usually someone who's deaf, when you do say something to them, the sound may come out different.
Yeah.
So it's possibly something wrong with him. He's possibly deaf. That to me, that's common sense. But others, it may not be common sense. That's why they need training. All right, maybe this person is dealing with something or have deaf issues or something like that. I even pulled over one older lady. She didn't stop for the bus. She didn't stop for the school bus. The stop sign was out. The stop sign out. The bus just came. The stop sign out, and she just flew through it. And I pulled her over, and she was an old lady, and she had like some type of disability. And I informed her. I said, "Ma'am, I'm gonna have to write you this ticket. I have to write you this ticket because you blatantly run this. But when I write this ticket, I'm gonna put an explanation there for the judge to read. And in that explanation, I put up on the notes because it's a notes area you can write. I said, please do not cite her, charge her for anything, or make her pay any penalty. Just check and see if she evaluate her and see if she can continue to drive because she do have a disability that can hinder children getting off the school bus." And that's what I wrote. So the site, I end up going to speaking with the judge about that too as well, because they wanted me to come in before I can explain it thoroughly. And I explained it. The judge didn't give her any type of, she wasn't cited for anything. It wasn't going her records. The judge had her to just, they sent her somewhere where she can be reevaluated, see if she can drive and understand and everything. So, and that's it right there. That's me understand that the person has a disability. All right. She didn't purposely run that, but that disability can harm possibly kids. So I had to make the discretion. All right. Don't cite her as far as a penalty, as far as paying a fine, but just see if she's able to drive. Because again, I'm looking from a site of a peace officer, not an officer to accumulate tickets.
We're gonna end it in a minute. One question I did want to address was, sorry, I was reading through the comments. How many of the bad officers do you think were bullied in high school and came into the job with pre-existing prejudice?
Ooh, it's there. Let me say this: there are quite few officers that come through the police department that were bullied, and they look to being an officer is the way to where I can get back from all the hurt that I've been through, so I can get back the bully in that way. And to me, that needs to be psychological.
It should be found.
Yeah,
they slip through the cracks.
Yeah, they slip through the cracks. But that right there should be for as those who are, I'm gonna say the investigators who do the background checks and all of that. That's something that needs to be looked at. Looking at the high school record. See, they had instances where they had problems with other people, other kids in school, in high school, where they were possibly bullied. Or the question, have you ever been bullied? Just to me, that needs to be investigated. That's a good question because you do have a lot of officers. They look to the badge to they use that to get a way to get back to those who bully, and they become prejudiced and they have a prejudiced eyesight going into it, and they are looking to get back for those who treated them wrong, and that's the wrong mentality as an officer.
So we're going to end on this. Thank you guys all for your comments, for tuning in tonight. I hope you guys found this conversation tonight extremely informative. I tried to cover a lot of bases, but I wanted to ask you guys two more questions. First question is, in light of everything that continues to happen, and systematically, you guys have spoken on the fact that you know that the police departments are corrupt, that the system does not benefit Black people. So what do you guys recommend needs to happen to make things more equal and fair in the police departments?
Like I was saying, that more officers. I mean, the laws have to be more strict for officers. That's one thing. They have to be the punishment has to be so severe that you wouldn't even dare think about joining the police office because
It's
you
no
you know
tolerance.
it's no
Zero
tolerance. It has to me it has to be the death penalty automatically for an officer. Because you just as someone who goes out and shoots somebody, you're a murderer too as well. But also you use the badge, that's the death penalty because you use the badge to go out there and commit a crime. You use the government, the oath that they give you to go out there and commit a crime. So I honestly think these officers should be held to the death penalty. They go out there and commit, it should be the death penalty automatically. No, hands down. No, death penalty. Anytime there's something like this committed, they should be held for death. Death penalty should be held for them, and that's the only way you're going to clear. That's the only way you're going to get justice and kind of equal out what's going on for how these officers are acting out here. So any possible, far as an officer commits they kill someone in the act of hate and a murder, they should be held to the strictest point as the death penalty. It should be federally. The federal government should go ahead and say, all right, because your action, you automatically get the death penalty, and that's it.
I'm kind of weighing in on what T says, because you all come to us for help. You all look to us for help. Sometimes we are all that you guys have. So with that being said, I think it needs to be a law put in place, a federal law that's across the board for every state.
Mm-hmm.
That when you do A, B, and C, we ain't talking about no state to state stuff. We talking about something just like Social Security. Everybody gets Social Security. It need to be a law that's across the board that applies to every state, not nothing that you can take and dissect it to fit what you want it to fit. Like T said, you do it,
automatic death penalty.
Because at the end of the day, it don't matter what state you in. You a cop, you whatever state you in, they look at police as being police across the board. And you can see that right now on TV. Even though this happened in Minnesota, they looking at cops in every state as not being trustworthy. And my thing is this: stop messing it up for us that do care, that got in here to make a difference. Because some of us want to make a difference. We do care. We do care. You know, we got to do what we got to do when you break the law. But we do care outside. It's just like when you beat your kid. I'm beating you because I'm chastising you because I love you. You get on your kid and you argue with them and you mad with them. But when they're over with, guess what? Don't we still love our kids? We still love them. Just like there's laws in place for offenders, there should be laws in place for cops that do bad things.
Death penalty. So right now, any officer who has killed someone and is found to be a murder, they should automatically get the death penalty. That's it.
And that's the key, getting it to be found a murder and being convicted.
Yep.
And that's the problem that a lot of people, that's why this country's in an uproar, because we heard the charges for this gentleman.
Third degree
manslaughter.
That's
nothing.
And that's enough to make people upset and to continue to cause the protests and the rioting and the issues that we continue to see, because no justice is being served.
Exactly.
So to end this conversation, if we had a son or a daughter today, and Mom, I'm actually saying question, if we were younger and you were an officer going through what you're seeing happening now and you having to deal with protests and rioting, what would you be telling your teenage child right now with regards to dealing with police and the law? What is the advice that you would give them?
Well,
want to go first?
I'm gonna let T go first because it's a hard one.
Well, I would say as I stated earlier, to first always show respect and give that respect. And hopefully that respect is returned by saying, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, officer. Also, when they ask you to do certain things, you do as you do as asked. You comply with the officer. You always inform the officer any type of movement that you're making, and hopefully, by you're not being also don't get aggressive with the officer. The officer may get aggressive. You stay calm. You use verbal judo, and to me, verbal judo is the best way to train them right now. Is how to use verbal judo on them and everything. So that's what I would tell my I had kids. That's what I would tell them, and I had to let them know that every white officer that you see, or every other race officer other than black, is not out there to harm you or to kill you too as well, because there are other races who will ride for you too as well. There are other race officers out there who feel the same way you feel, but they still have to go out there and be awesome because that's the career they chose. They're right again, and I will explain. There are riot police out there, police officers who have the same anger about how the officer in which the officer has done and created for their career. They have that same amount of anger, but they have to still go out there and patrol these streets. They still have to suit up in riot gear and calm you guys down. And with those who do riot, who do wrong, they still have to patrol that and keep those criminals, because criminals still happen with the riots going on. That's what you see. You just see criminals. That's all it is. While y'all over there protesting, the criminals being criminals. That's it. That's all it is. White, black, Asian, Hispanic. It don't matter what race. It's criminals in all races. Right now, y'all just giving the criminals the time for them to have fun. So right now, all the criminals there's chaos going on. People are out there. They're out there. They're looting because they criminals anyway. That's what they do. Some of them live a lifestyle that way, and right now, because it's not organized, America is not organized. The criminals are having fun. That's what you see. They say, oh, looting, it's black. Oh, it's black. Oh, it's white. No, it's every race. And every race has criminals. So the criminals right now having fun while y'all up here, we're trying to find a way to stop the police brutality. The criminals are having fun. That's all it is.
So you say respect, teach them respect, and how to not be the aggressive.
Learn verbal judo. So if you guys want to learn about verbal judo, you probably can look it up online somewhere. But look online and learn verbal judo. That's a great technique you can learn to de-escalate any situation you're in. So I will teach them verbal judo, teaching them to always listen to what the officer asks, and if they have to reach for anything, to make sure that they're informing the officer. So those are the things I have to do, and spiritually just pray for them that they be safe, and that's it.
Piggybacking off of what T just said, I agree with everything. My kids are grown, but I do have Kylie and Nathan to think about. I think it's high time that I really, when Nathan is 5 years old, he don't really understand, but I'm going to have some conversations with Kylie and see what she think about what's going on, and see how I can explain on her level where she'll get some level of understanding.
Because she's 11.
She's 11 years old. And what I don't want you all to, verbal judo is excellent. Because you know what? Our parents teach us how to be respectful. So you ain't doing nothing different.
They should.
But you know what? Don't look at it, because I can hear some people thinking out loud, man, I ain't bowing down. Don't worry about that. You try to stay alive. If that's what you got to do to stay alive, then you do it. So I could agree with everything T just said. Be respectful. Don't start getting hostile, because guess what? You ain't going to do nothing but make his temperature rise or her temperature rise, because they feel like, how dare you ask me anything? Comply. I'm hoping that my daughter Pay attention to who my grandkids are going to be around, because that's very important. Try to make sure that they hang out when they go out. They're not just always by themselves. When they do start hanging out and doing things that teenagers do, because then you have another set of eyes. But parents need to really, parents, if y'all don't do this now, and I know Jay don't understand this, because we was kind of talking about this. Y'all got to know who y'all kids be around. And guess what? When y'all say, I don't want you to be around Sam, John, and Sue, they're going to be around who the hell you want to be with them. But you know what? Start inviting. My house I used to have everybody over to my house. And my kids didn't know I did it for a reason, because I want to see who their friends were. So I could go through process of elimination. Because you're going to want your kids to hang around like minds. Because when they start hanging around kids and they feel like they're trying to fit in and do what they think they need to do to be accepted, then y'all going to have some problems.
But you can still be by yourself. Trayvon Martin
and that's
Michael
where
Brown,
and that again, that's where I, like T said, comply, do what they ask you to do. Try to ask as less possible, because for some reason cops it's like, I done been around, for some reason they don't like for you to ask them nothing until they want to tell you what they want to tell you. And that just it's almost like, how dare you? And the minute that your child or whoever can get on the phone, ask, can I call my mama? Can you call my mama, my daddy? And that's pretty much it.
Somebody just asked real quick, do you guys think people should continue to protest?
I do.
Yep.
Not loot, protests. Peaceful protest.
Protest is needed. It has to continue until the laws are changed. So protest needs to continue. Pressure on the senators.
Convictions.
Vote. Please vote. Get that man out of the White House.
So you have to vote. So as far as protests continue, but the protests need to be for the legislation to go in and change these laws.
And to convict the 4 officers.
And convict officers. But the law convict the officers, but also of murder, but also
first degree.
But also the legislation need to change these laws, and they have to be strict. Change these laws and push for equality for all, and continue to protest until this thing has and until they begin to push and they do put into law for the officer and their accountability for the murders they are doing out there. So continue to protest, and if they don't do this, the criminals go continue to act the fool. And y'all know what criminals are the looting that's going on. That's all it is. It's criminals. They just looting.
And to be honest with you, y'all president already said, you loot, we shoot, or whatever he said. Then that means we're gonna lose more lives, because his mentality, I don't understand.
And that's when that as a nation we have to vote. We have to vote. Not only as African Americans, every race has to vote and make their voice heard. So everyone who's protesting, your goal is to make sure at least 50 people that you know
are registered,
and they are voting, and they are registered, and they actually go to the poll. You call them and you make them be accountable for it, just like they're accountable out there protesting. Even your little criminal looters who haven't been caught by police, you tell them, hey, you out there looting, out there busting window, you go in here and bust a vote.
Yeah.
So bust a vote too as well. Some of you guys probably know some people out there who probably out there acting the fool. Change their mentality. Tell them that hey, cut that out.
Because
and it's for all, and it's all races though. It's all races. I'm just not talking to white Americans. I'm not talking to African Americans. I'm talking to Latinos,
Asians.
The Asians. What else? All Indian, all nationalities. You can see no Haitian.
African.
You have seen it on CNN. It's every race out there who's acting the fool. But tell them to go to the polls and let's act the fool. Let's riot. When I mean by riot, let's riot these polls. Let's push these buttons. Push these buttons Let's start having a party at the polls. Let's start having block parties at the polls.
Have a voters party to your house once the COVID gets over. Get some forms and let people fill them out and go turn them in.
Let's have a party at the polls.
Got to vote, guys.
That would change it, and that would change that. Put the right people in office who see the wrong that the officers are doing. That they would change these laws. So that's what we need to do, and that's how we would help bring about change and help to promote equality. And it would plant a seed that it will grow. It's going to take time, but we got to plant the seed.
And to that point, let's not allow the media, society to use the pain that we're feeling with George Floyd, with Breonna Taylor, with Ahmaud Arbery, and all the killings. Let's not let it be overshadowed by the looting and by all of the rioting and all the unrest that's being done. Let's continue to let their names and their voices be heard the right way, and let justice be served, and not let the actions of irresponsible people overshadow what the real issue is, because we all know what the real issue is, and that's the continuous killing of Black lives. All right, guys. So on that note, we're going to end. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, babe.
I hope that we shed some light on some things, and we you all could you actually took something from it, because it's some good people out here that really, really do care about the job that they do, and that slogan, to protect and serve. Some officers. So all of us are not alike. I'm just hoping that you all have a different perspective of us, the ones that really, really do care.
Good. Anything else?
No, just vote. Hey, vote. Vote them out. Vote and push for the legislation to change the law. That's it. And put the right people in office who want to see America to be better and have equality for everyone. That's it.
All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your night. Be safe. Continue to wear your mask. Take care.
Bye.
People got their mask off.
How many people was on that?